Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about Quentin Tarantino's new movie, the Bumblebee movie, the Alladin movie, and Clint Eastwood's next film. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, everybody out there, and welcome to Meet the Movie Press. My name is Jeff Sneider. I'm the editor-in-chief of the tracking board, tracking-board.com. Don't forget the hyphen. You can find me on Twitter at @IanSneider. And with me today, straight from his honeymoon, is Justin Kroll from Variety.
Not quite. I got back a week ago.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you for coming back.
Of course.
You made it. You look refreshed.
Ready to go. No better time to do a honeymoon than the 4th of July.
Where did you go?
Went to Bali.
Lovely.
Yeah. Outside of the 20-hour flight, it was pretty awesome.
I was following your trip on Instagram. I was very jealous.
I was following what everybody was chasing 3,000 miles away and loving that I had nothing to do with it. It was
I know.
great.
I took advantage of Justin's absence. I had a good few weeks. Now it's over.
The best part was the first morning I was there was Han Solo firings. And
right.
that had happened, by the way. It's a 15-hour time difference. So that had already all happened. I went to breakfast with my wife, took a photo. I was like, guys, I don't really care what happened on Han Solo or who's directing it. And it just had the ocean in the background. It was amazing.
Got a lot of good pickup on that tweet. People really appreciated that. Well, you were back this week, and
Yes.
you dropped some good shit.
We'll get to that in a second. But
Okay.
the winner of the week.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with our buddy Boris dropping what we all were very curious about, Mr. Tarantino's next movie.
Quentin Tarantino. Now, details are hazy.
Yeah, well...
So we're not sure if this is a movie about the Manson murders, or let's say it's like a Magnolia kind of situation where Charles Manson and Sharon Tate are an element of the film. What have you heard?
I mean, I've heard clearly Sharon Tate is involved. Like, it's pretty much confirmed that like Margot Robbie and Jen Lawrence. Actually, I heard yesterday that Jen may not have been. It might have been a different role.
Oh, okay.
And they're both would be in it somehow. But that Sharon Tate's involved somehow. I'm now hearing Roman Polanski would play some element in this too, which I thought was kind of wild.
That's what?
Yeah, like he's not directing this, but he's in it. Sorry.
It's okay.
Or the character is in it somehow. And all again, all.
But
this
he wouldn't. But Roman. Okay, so Roman Polanski would be in the film as a character, not.
Oh yeah.
Not like Roman Polanski's going to show up and reenact
someone
this
playing
thing.
Roman.
Right.
And then there was talk of like Brad Pitt being quoted for role. It's not Manson. He's too old. It would be the prosecutor of the Manson trial.
Right. The initial reports were that Brad might play the detective investigating the crime, but Justin since came out and said it's the prosecutor.
And then I heard yesterday the prototype for Manson is like Paul Dano. So it's, by the way,
that
guys,
would be really good.
It's not that doesn't mean Daniel's getting it. It means like a 30, an eccentric, scrawny-looking guy who's in his 30s.
Yes,
is the best way to say that. And then I found out because I went to I was at the Game of Thrones premiere, and I was like, this guy would be perfect for this role. And an agent there was like, oh, it's supposedly shooting in February, so we can't do it because Thrones is shooting.
Oh, I gotcha.
So that's what we know. This is one of those fun things where you can, as you get each piece of the puzzle. By the way, I was so nervous tweeting out the Brad Pitt thing, and like Tarantino was going to tell Fleming, "I'm done. This thing's done right now," or something like that.
Right after Quentin threw a fit the last time that this stuff leaked early, you have to go with it. Once you find out what it's about, you have to post.
Me and you had a conversation, I think, right when after it broke, and I was like, I don't think our sources understand what news is sometimes to us. And they're like, well, there's no, like, my one guy was like, no one's attached yet. They haven't even seen a script. I was like, yeah, but what it is the news.
That is the news,
Tarantino
exactly.
is always working on something. Once you get an idea of what that is, boom. And, like, you have to go with that, especially when you have two people being like, oh, yeah, this is it. I just don't. If someone told me don't mention my client's name, but, yeah, this is what it is, I'd be like, fuck, I'm out. Okay.
It was definitely a good story by THR. So now let me ask you, is this a movie that you want to see? Or do you want to see Tarantino's take on this?
This is what I was thinking about, like, because this is in my brain all week. Just an interest because I love
Can't stop thinking
Tarantino.
about it, yeah.
All his films are, like, fun. they're very like you go to escape. Like, you know, there's no like it's not Manchester by the Sea. I just don't know how you make this that. Like he's always going after like genre and those kind of plays, like blaxploitation and kung fu movie and westerns and war movies.
Right, he plays with genre.
Yeah, playing with genre, but you know, at the end of the day, there's somewhat of a happy ending.
There's a levity, yes.
Levity. I just don't like.
Right, where's the happy ending in
this?
this?
Gonna go. I mean, I trust him. He's as brilliant as they come. And he always has a plan for what he wants to do, but man, oh man, like I just don't. Especially if like Sharon Tate is in it. It'd be one thing if Manson, if they were doing something with Manson and it had nothing to do with what they did. When Sharon Tate is like such a part of the story all week, that doesn't end well.
I'm just very curious whether it's going to be a straight take on the Manson family murders,
like a Glorious Bastards, where it's like his take on history and Sharon Tate kicks his ass.
I think it will be like that in the sense that, like, you know, Hitler didn't play a big role in Inglourious Bastards. I don't think that Manson will necessarily be that big a role in this. Of course, I haven't seen the script.
That could be the case. It would be very. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I don't.
Dickie had a very like strong like. Yes, I do not.
A lot of people have had that reaction. I will see anything that Quentin puts out. Yeah. He's my favorite filmmaker. Do I feel like the Manson stuff has been played out over the years? Like every 5 or so years, there seems like there's a new Manson thing. But little bit, yes.
What's the most memorable thing?
But you are right. You have a point. Like it all sort of blends together for me. Nothing really stands out. So this could become the definitive thing. Everybody loved Jeremy Davies as Manson. I wonder if he would.
What was that?
Do that again. That was
people
was that
like you remember
movie?
That shit. Like people like
you're
outside the bubble don't remember that.
You're right. That's fair. I just like, you know, he has said he's going to retire after 10 movies. I don't know if I wanted to see a Manson movie take up one of those last 2 slots, so to speak.
I forget. I remember when that was the case. I'm like, God, we're gonna lose him in like 4 years. It was like 20 years ago. Like, I forget how slow he kind of moves.
People have also suggested, Vanity Fair said that, well, you know, why isn't he doing like a limited series? Why doesn't he stretch this thing out sort of for HBO?
Because he doesn't have to. He's Tarantino. That medium doesn't seem to interest him because he's never done something.
Yeah, right. He did the CSI thing, but I don't know. It'll be interesting, the cast that he pulls together. Do you think there's any chance he gets back together with his Django star, Leonardo DiCaprio?
I mean, if Leo wants to do it. Leo's like, it's all about what interests him right now. He isn't. We're still waiting to see what he does.
There was breaking news this morning from Variety that DiCaprio and Scorsese are looking at doing Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, yeah.
It's just I'm not. It's a good scoop, but like he has so much development stuff.
Right. It's always he hasn't committed to anything.
Like none of us still waiting for Devil in the White City, guys.
Right.
Like,
none of us know what Leonardo DiCaprio's next movie is going to be. But you know,
The Revenant was on his plate for like 4 years before they finally were like, "Yep, this is actually going." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Right. Okay. Anything else to add about Quentin?
No, it'll be not that I can think of. I'm trying to like Sam Jackson too, and like
that's
the 70s. It's so easy because Sam whenever he's in that era, it kind of works. Even like in Kong Skull Island, he played that well.
He'll find something for him, and so we should have more on that.
Who would you
by
like
Labor Day?
Who would you like of like those Jennifer Jason, like the throwback actor to try to revive? Is there like one of those actors that you'd like him to like pick?
Oh man, I'd have to think about that.
Like a 90, you know who'd be kind of cool? Like Nick Cage having some kind of interesting role in it.
Yeah,
we mentioned recently that Nick is kind of like off the studio's radar and all that stuff. I wouldn't mind. Also, there's these actors that are like retired that I would love him plopping out of like.
I mean, along the lines of Nick Cage and people who are just doing like these kind of crappy movies these days. What if you got your Pulp Fiction boy, Bruce Willis?
That'd be great too.
Yeah.
Or John and Bruce. I mean, yeah.
That would be very interesting. Okay, let's move it along. Let's talk about the scoop that you broke, Barry Jenkins' new movie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I was not on that at all. That came out of nowhere.
I mean, it was I got back last Wednesday and just started seeing what had kind of like occurred over the last couple weeks, and someone was rolling through like some Annapurna stuff and was like, "Oh, by the way, this is Barry's." And you just, as soon as you hear it, like, God, this has to have been reported and all that stuff. And I looked into it. No ounce of it had been reported. And I didn't have any details on it. Like, I didn't even know if he'd be like a producer or what, if this was his next film. And then Monday morning, like, they're like, "Yep, we got all the details. I got all the details for you." And yeah, it sounds like he kind of wrote this along with Moonlight, and then just decided to do Moonlight first over this.
Did he ever talk about this in interviews?
No, which is kind of crazy that like he just
kept
like
it
always
to the vest.
slips, you know, like there's always like people always say I'm working on this, but like no, I guess he wanted to make sure it was right. He probably didn't know, like, or maybe like Annapurna got the rights to that. I don't know what the deal is because it is based on a book. And then it reteams him with Plan B again. You know, it's great to see Annapurna just, you know, I mean, it's a shame A24, I guess, lost him, but like Annapurna, is just trying to build that great slate up right now.
Yeah.
And I'm it starts production in October. I already forgot the log line. Do you remember what it was off the top of your head?
I do.
It's kind of in the vein of Moonlight a little. I feel like it, but it's like there's a female is the main character.
Do you think we'll see any Moonlight talent in the film?
Oh, I mean,
it wouldn't surprise you.
It wouldn't surprise me if Trevante jumps in. Though he's trying to like build a movie career, like those younger kids for sure, just because their schedules open. Mahershala's getting busy.
Okay, so here it is. It's based on a novel by James Baldwin. If Beale Street Could Talk, the story follows Tish, a newly engaged Harlem woman who races against the clock to prove her lover's innocence while carrying their firstborn child. So it's a pregnant woman trying to get her man out of jail, right?
I like that. It's just nice to see. Like, you know, sometimes these directors take almost too long to figure out what their post like awards scene. Like, you haven't heard Garth Davis's next movie yet. Haven't heard like Lenny Abramson made Room years ago. Did he do his movie, or he's still developing something, right?
Yeah,
like,
I always consider that a big scoop when you break the news of what a recent Oscar winner is doing next.
That was why I mean, and it, like, given what Moonlight was, but I like Barry a lot. I'm very this is a very different thing from Moonlight.
Barry Jenkins and James Baldwin,
together equals something very intriguing. So you weren't on it at all?
No, I hadn't heard about this.
Jeff was taunting me last week, and I was like, "Oh, I got something for you. Don't you worry."
He shut me up real quick, as you did with the Clint Eastwood story.
Let's talk about this. This is a fun story.
2 weeks ago, I break the news that it's Kyle Gallner, Alexander Ludwig, and Jeremy Harris, right?
So before I left for my wedding honeymoon for 3 weeks, there's 2 stories that I had to leave. I can't say what the one is, but I had this dead to rights, but there's an element in it that I couldn't move forward on because of a let's say conflict of interest. Okay. So I just was like, I'm going to let it go. I'm just gonna, like, if I get back and it's cool, but it will probably break, and I'll live with that. I'm on vacation, and I think I lost like 3 things, like a First Man thing, a Marin-Qual thing. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. And then, like, midway through my honeymoon, you break this. I'm like, all right, that's a shame. And it was true. Jeff was dead right. These were the 3 guys. They were the favorites. They were the favorites for a week before I left for my wedding.
Right.
So these were
These were the choices.
These were the choices, but people kept saying no offers.
Right.
And then Monday morning, I get a text and someone's like, "I got Clint information." I'm like, "Oh, some more cast." And yeah, he calls and he's like, "Oh, by the way, Clint flipped the script, and he's now decided to just cast the real life heroes in their portraying themselves rather than these actors." And it was like, what the fuck?
Huge scoop and a baller move for Clint Eastwood. Like, only Clint Eastwood could get away with this.
But Chris Tapley said it best. Like, who's going to like wave their finger at these 3 guys getting their portray themselves? No one. It's just like,
it's a pretty inspired idea. I haven't really heard anything like this before. I can't remember, anyways.
But like, no, I mean, you go Discoveries a lot of time, and people are like, but like the actual people that have no acting experience.
Right.
Real quick, from my understanding, it's like the story shows them from when they're kid, like as their friendship, and leads up to this event. So I think the roles are
so they don't have to carry the movie the way that Tom Hanks carried a Sully.
Exactly.
They're sort of supporting characters in their own story. Some of the film will focus on the young kids, and we saw supporting cast yesterday like Tony Hale and Thomas Lennon. They're playing supporting characters
Jenna
who are
Fisher,
involved with
Judy
the kids.
Greer, I think are their moms as they're growing up.
Exactly. So it seems like a lot of the supporting cast is tied to them as kids.
But what a move.
Huge.
When I got the tip, I'm like, God, Jeff's gonna feel really shitty when I break this.
I mean,
but there's, I was
right, like I was accurate
thing.
at the time, and
I thought it was weird that nobody followed you, and like no one can get it confirmed. Like, that, are they just gonna do a production release? And they technically did. It was just,
yeah, I just feel so bad for those actors. Like,
so bad.
Yeah,
like,
they had it.
Like they probably thought those were big roles for guys that were like, oh, we're on the cusp, I feel like.
But if you're gonna lose the role, I guess it's okay.
And you're comforted.
You're comforted by the fact that you've lost it to the actual person. But that was really interesting, and I think that's a fascinating story as well.
And then now that we see where it's going to go, because when it first announced what it was, it's like, God, how do you make? It's like, is this like Sully again? Like, is there a backstory we don't know about?
Right.
But I guess you just start from the beginning of their friendships and move.
Right, because these friends weren't just saving other people's lives; they're saving each other's lives. So what would how far would you go for a friend when you're showing all that backstory and how that bond formed? That's
and two of them were in the military, decorated.
Right.
And the third one was just a very close friend.
Okay. So Clint Eastwood, baller move. Scorsese, by the way, another baller move, getting the gang back together at Netflix.
Right. I have my issues on this one.
Yeah, we've all talked about The Irishman. I feel like all these names have sort of been out there, although the roles have been rejiggered.
I didn't know Pacino was Jimmy Hoffa.
Because it was supposed to be Harvey Keitel, and so the roles switched. Pacino, I thought was going to be Russell Bufalino.
Okay.
So there was. Anyways,
can I tell you a funny story on this one?
Give it to us.
This is a Meet the Movie Press show, and me and Jeff have gone through this situation. The same day I got the Barry Jenkins tip, I also was talking to chit chatting with the source. Ended the thing, and the guy's like, "By the way, Scorsese, someone's telling me he got a big star for." Big movie star for like this small role, kind of like McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street, where he shows up for like 10 minutes and you don't see him. And I'm like, movie star? Leo is like, is it McConaughey? I'm like, no, but could you dig for me? So I dig a little bit, and no one knows this. No source is like, it doesn't come to mind what a movie star would be. I'm working yesterday, and THR alerts Ray Romano joins The Irishman, and I'm like, what? Call up my source. I'm like, is this it? And he's like, well, that's the role. I'm like, this is the movie star? Let me be clear, folks. He's like, yeah, the so-and-so from the movie said that they got a movie star. I'm like, don't sell me. I love Ray Romano. He was great in Vinyl. He kills it in The Big Sick.
Yeah.
I loved him in Parenthood. Everything after, and Everybody Loves Him was great. He couldn't greenlight a fucking network show right now, let alone a movie. Movie stars greenlight movies. Don't sell this as a movie star.
So a source just sort of miscategorized him.
The problem is, my sources, when I asked, they probably knew it was Ray Romano, but they when I say movie star, they're like, well, it's not Ray. And it just went on.
I hear you.
What do you think? Let's talk about this movie. What are your thoughts? Because I'm worried about this thing.
I don't know what the approach will be as far as the de-aging of everybody and how that's going to go. But the idea of Tarantino doing a gangster movie about that story. Sorry, yes, I'm looking at Tarantino on my list. The idea of Scorsese doing another gangster movie with all those guys sounds fucking awesome.
It just seems like 10 years too late.
Has he ever directed Pacino before?
No, it's the first time.
Wow.
Like, it's cool. Listen, the concept is cool. The more I read about this, and just the people coming together with it, and they've taken so long. I'm just so worried this is like a welcome to Mooseport for all these guys, where it's like...
My only trepidation... I don't know why it's a trepidation, because it's Scott Stuber, who's a good producer, but that it's Netflix, because I don't think that Netflix has hit it out of the park yet with a movie. Now, a lot of these movies were made before Scott got there.
I honestly think Burning Sands is the best thing they've done this year.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest.
I like that.
I'm so worried, because this was something everyone's been excited for since like when I was in high school. I feel like, because this thing's been around forever.
I heard you paint houses.
But man, I listen. I'm gonna give it the benefit. I know you didn't like Wizard of Lies. That's one of my favorite films of the year, and I liked it. I just didn't. I like the Richard Dreyfuss one better.
No. That was my friend. I've never seen the Richard Dreyfuss one.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend liked the Richard Dreyfuss one a lot more.
Your taste came down when you said you liked the Richard Dreyfuss one.
No. I haven't even seen that.
But I liked De Niro in Wizard of Lies, right? He didn't feel like he was mailing it in. it felt like a real
return to form.
performance.
Yes.
Yeah. And
But I was shocked that Michelle Pfeiffer gets nominated over Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's fucking crazy.
First of all, everyone else in the cast got nominated for Fargo, and Carrie Coon was a big one. We'll get to the Emmys in a bit. Don't chill out there.
Michelle.
I agree, she's great. Michelle Pfeiffer was pretty fucking awesome. But back to what I was saying, De Niro didn't mail it in here, and I feel with Marty, he's going to bring his A game, and he still has his A game.
These guys are getting up there. We only have so many movies with them left.
But yeah, I'm just. Listen, I hope I'm eating my fucking words. That's all I gotta say.
Let's stick with that era, that kind of movie, and talk about Scarface.
Okay, here's another one.
Okay, then you lead. You lead.
Sorry, I keep stealing all this, but I have the backstories on like how.
Right. So the news is this week that David Ayer left the project. He only signed on in like May. He's been on for like 2 or 3 months.
So he turned the script in last. We'll get to this.
Okay.
The conspiracy theory, but or what could have happened. I'm just, I'm working on 4 different things, I think, and I get an email from a source. I think David Ayer's off Scarface. I'm like, huh? What? I'm like, well, the timing's interesting. And then I call someone up as I'm kind of like prepping something. I'm like, did you hear this? And they were like, oh, yeah, happened last night, blah, blah, blah. We're already looking into the direct. I'm like, oh, this is real. So it's, I want to give Universal time to like say something, but I'm like writing, I'm getting it prepped. Mm-hmm. And like 12:58. Get a call from a source, and they're like, "Yeah, it's you should probably do something." But I gotta let you know, I heard THR is also about to do something too. I'm like, as soon as that, I'm like emailing the desk, post ASAP,
right?
And
you got him by a minute,
and I was told by 2 people that it was because of Bright. They're like, so I put that in there. It's like this is This is Netflix's big kahuna, and they need him in post and
right. They need him focused on this,
and Universal wants this up about the same time. They want it quickly. They've already dated this, and they only have Diego so much longer. So I post, THR posts. The alerts came at the same time, but I beat him by a minute. And in this game, that's a minute.
That counts.
And I kept that fucking exclusive tag.
Count it. Did they kept theirs?
Oh, of course they did. Because I beat Kim Masters. And that probably
right. That was a surprise. I know. When I saw her byline on it,
I assumed it was Boris.
Yep.
Backstory. Me and Fleming both said it was because of Bright. She said it was because the script was too dark.
Right. And this is Scarface. How do you get too dark? Scarface has a guy with a chainsaw.
Why would you hire David?
That's true too.
If this has to be an R-rated film. Like, what are you scared of here? You can do R-rated films these days. You just made a shitload of money on Get Out. If you do it right, and David can deliver that perfect, and Fuqua could have too. Don't whitewash.
I don't whitewash. It's not that. That's the wrong term. But
don't soften the story.
Exactly. I had a point, and I just lost. I lost. It went off into thin air. Where did it go? I don't know, man. Scarface is a pretty intense movie. All right. Okay. I'm nervous about what too dark means. Like, what is Universal's vision for this movie? They've had a bunch of directors come in. They've had all these hot people write the script. The Coens took a pass at the last one. I don't think that they've found a take that they like.
That's the thing, too. They've been unhappy with every script. I'm going to just drop it right now. The Coens, I heard, was a mess. Terrence Winters, garbage. Like, everyone has, or that's according to Universal. These might have been good scripts, and right. Universal can't get across them. It's crazy how, like, that studio I feel like is up there with keeping their shit together. This is the one damn project.
It's definitely. It's like the Flash. I mean, it's their Flash almost.
I can't. But it's been longer developed than that.
Don't you have to give them credit for at least not rushing the wrong movie into production?
Sure.
I still don't love the casting. I still don't love Diego.
I don't mind. Listen, let's build it around him. I'm hit or miss. It's just like what they're trying to, like, I don't know. Maybe the Discovery will work. I don't know. They just, like, listen, when they picked Diego, it was Rogue One. Like, there was a lot of heat. It was the same, and he went with it where, like, other people, like Felicity Jones, like, waited on stuff, and she's struck out on First Man and Spider's Web. Mm-hmm. So, I see why both parties want to go with it. Man, too dark. What the fuck? I hope that's just bullshit, but man, the timing. The script came in last Friday.
I feel strongly that they need a foreign filmmaker on this. Scarface is a classic immigrant story. Maybe the second best known besides The Godfather.
I liked Jose Padilla. Someone mentioned that on your list.
Yeah, on Twitter. That was a good suggestion.
He needs a comeback, and I feel Narcos, he showed that he's got plenty of talent. RoboCop was just a bad thing to kind of jump as your first domestic film.
I did a whole list and thought way too long about it, just because I care about Scarface, and I think that they could actually say something important and do something different with this, so that it's not so. I enjoyed Scarface, the De Palma one, but that was very over the top and cartoony.
I'm overrated. One of the bigger.
They could do something like Traffic or
Raiders
Sicario.
of the Lost Ark for you.
Sure. Okay. Hey, that's fair. I would just love to see something like Traffic or Sicario. All right. There's 20 minutes left in the show, but I got to tell you guys about Blue Apron before we continue. Blue Apron, it's the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Its mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. And Blue Apron achieves this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients and building a community of home chefs. They have partnerships with over 150 local farms. The seafood is sourced sustainably, responsibly raised animals, the beef, the chicken, the pork, all that good stuff. Yeah. Those who spend a lot at restaurants and grocery stores can now spend under $10 a person for a delicious meal at Blue Apron. They've got seared chicken and creamy pasta salad, chili butter steaks with Parmesan potatoes and spinach, all kinds of good stuff. So make sure that you check out Blue Apron and all their fun offerings. They have new menus each week. BlueApron.com/meat for Meet the Movie Press. BlueApron.com/meat. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
I'm a customer.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay, let's talk about Alladin.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, so I have been tracking Alladin. I have had one name and one name only, and it's this guy Mina Massoud, who has a significant role in the new Jack Ryan series starring John Krasinski. I had heard that he had tested, but I didn't have any of the other names of the guys who had tested. So I was like, what am I going to do? Write a story about one guy testing? I had to wait until there was like an offer out or they'd made a decision, and then out of nowhere, THR drops this story that sort of explains the holdup, saying they just can't find somebody.
Didn't explain all of the
right. So why don't you shed some light on that THR Alladin story?
So there, so I've been tracking this for quite a while.
Yep.
So THR went to the point that they're just having a lot of trouble finding this. Like the girls they've seen to have Naomi Scott. What was the Indian girls? The girl from India's name?
It was something Satari.
Yeah. There's two girls that have been
Satari or something.
Naomi Scott off of Mighty Power Rangers. They were high on for a long time. She's like the name, but between like Discovery and Name that they like, and kind of like a branded name.
She's been up for a few big things too.
And then this other girl. So they seem to have these Jasmines, but what didn't get mentioned that THR story. They said that there was other guys considered, and now they've moved down to a handful of guys, but they're just having trouble. The one thing that did not get mentioned is that Riz Ahmed was the guy, pretty much. They were doing chem tests with just the girls and him. He was it.
Another Rogue One star.
Yeah,
Disney just
Disney
worked
connection. The Middle East, like he fits the what they want, the prototype for what they wanted, and coincidentally pulled out of the running. He pulled his name from the running in mid-May. What came out in mid-May, Jeff?
I think that was Guy Ritchie's movie King Arthur. So King Arthur got really bad reviews, didn't open very well. I can see why someone might get cold feet about signing up to work with Guy Ritchie on a movie that a lot of people, quite frankly, don't necessarily think he's the right fit for to begin with.
It was an odd choice going on. Listen, he could. I don't know his pitch, so it could be pretty cool. But yeah, and then from there they had to go back to the drawing board. It was kind of crazy because I would hear just girls' names, and I'm like, what about, it's called Alladin, not Jasmine.
Right.
Like, if there was a new twist on like the Alladin story, which would be great.
So the other guy that was mentioned was Dev Patel. Is there any chance that Dev or Riz could play like Jafar?
Well, that was the thing too. Oh, sorry, I forgot a piece. They were considering it like, oh, maybe we found a discovery, but Riz still plays Jafar. Like there was a part there. I think Jafar is like in his fort, but it was just, they ended up thinking it was too young. But then he was just, neither of them wanted to do it. Dev, I just feel like is a name, like it's just like, oh, the role. So I had never really heard Dev. Fully. In
so
the mix.
it seems like they are going to get a big name for Jafar.
Well, they have a big name already for the Genie.
Right.
So.
That's true. It seems like a newcomer is going to end up being Aladdin. It's hard. It is hard to find someone who can act and sing and dance and all that stuff.
I'm not gonna, they're trying to do this the right way. It's just like with Mulan. I've heard like certain people up for that, and they're just like they're not Chinese enough. They're just not 100. Like they want that role to be as authentic as possible,
right?
And they want to do it here, and you should respect them after the Ghost in the Shell and Exit. Like Disney's like, all right, we're gonna try our best here to just like
do. They're trying to avoid that controversy that Paramount.
It is tough though. Like you don't want like to get like Diego whatever from Rock of Ages and like try to do that discovery role and it falls flat on its face. Like this guy has to, and this isn't like the Clint Eastwood thing we just mentioned where the guy isn't in that much. It's Aladdin. He's probably gonna be in a lot of scenes, and they need to make sure he can carry what will probably be $100 million movie. Let's not be stupid here.
It's gonna be bigger than that. Probably.
And Will Smith as the genie also just doesn't sell it enough. Will Smith is having trouble selling his old movies when he's front and center, not when he's like a CGI character. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's relatively early on that. So stay tuned. Disney, you got to trust the Disney process.
I do too. I mean, yeah, you have to trust what they're doing.
But speaking of Will Smith, Suicide Squad 2.
Oh, nice segue.
Yeah,
nice segue.
The king of the segues is back, baby. News this week. News in quotation marks, because if you're a fan of this show, you heard it back in March. John Sarah.
It wasn't March. It was like May.
It was March.
No, I heard it in May. I
heard it in March. I'm saying I went on this show.
In May.
No,
I looked the show up. It was May.
I'm pretty sure it was March. Anyways,
it's May. But he did.
I could be wrong.
He did. Go on.
Anyway, we're arguing over when I said it. I don't fucking remember when I said it, but I said it. John Sarah, again, a homegrown filmmaker for Warner Brothers, someone who has grown up in that studio. He's made, I think, 4 films for them. He just makes sense. I mean, do you think that he's a good fit for it?
Oh yeah. I liked it a lot. I had something to say on this one. It works for me. It's just. Oh, I was gonna say back to why did you say it on the show and not publish it?
I got to save something for this show.
That's a lie. This show don't put hits on the tracking board's traffic site.
Honestly, well, it's going to now because I am starting to post the show on the site. But I don't know. It's a good question. Why didn't I post it when I did?
You always ask me. You asked me about Dick Cheney and Christian. That's why.
That's fair enough. It's hard to get confirmation on some of that stuff.
Sure, of course.
And I do feel like.
By the way, Mike used Frontrunner in his break. So he
which was
like there. It
didn't advance it.
It didn't advance it.
Yeah,
at all.
That's basically what I said. He's the favorite to get it if Mel says no.
Though once I reached out to Warner's, they're all like, "Yeah, this, yeah."
What is the deal with Mel? So he just like didn't want any part of it.
Just disappeared. Like I don't even remember when I asked about it last, but like
I never thought that was going to happen.
He took his time to consider it. He just like maybe he couldn't find an idea.
The idea of Mel Gibson directing Will Smith, I cannot wrap my head around it.
First of all,
I really can't.
Those two have wanted to work. Mel was going to direct Will in The Accountant.
Whoa.
I told you that.
I don't remember
the original.
That. I remember Will Smith was going to do The Accountant.
I put this in my Mel Gibson possibly for Suicide.
Interesting.
The interest is Mel and Will have always wanted to work together, and it was back when Bill Dubuque first turned in The Accounting script. Like Ben Affleck got that script. Like when it had dust on it, Will and Ben were like, Will wanted Will wanted Mel,
right?
And at the time, Jeff Robinoff, who was still in charge of the studio, was like, nope. And this was like when Mel was like getting fired from Hangover 2, and it was just he was super blacklisted, and then it just kind of went away. So there's an interest for them to work together. I just think Mel has moved on. By the way, I think the Daddy's Home trailer broke when I was out. Welcome back, Mel. That looks awesome.
I actually think I laugh too. I think it'll be fun.
When comedy needs it, it's like let's get John Lithgow and Mel Gibson.
That was so funny. Like when the music changes and Lithgow comes down the escalator and gives him a kiss on the lips.
It's been 2 weeks.
Right. So Suicide Squad 2. I do think Jama is a good fit. I think that they're lucky to have him, and hopefully he makes something better than the last movie.
God. Not much of a barter.
I don't know. Do you think he's going to be able to sneak the Waco thing in before Suicide Squad 2?
By the way, breaking news, they're already looking for other directors
on Waco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. Would have been interesting.
Yeah. I But you know, I still feel like you could find the right director. There's plenty of directors there that could use.
Did you see the little line that I snuck into my story?
About which one? Well,
about Waco?
No, what'd you say?
Oh, I think I blew the lid off that one.
What'd you say?
I did the Koresh rumor. That was in my story. And now it could change because now Jama's gone. But I heard that Jama was looking at Adam Driver to play David Koresh. We'll see. See if that turns out works out.
It's obviously not because the next guy who's gonna get that.
Next guy could have his own idea, and people and I heard this guy's name too for Charles Manson, the Tarantino thing. Ezra Miller. You think he could pull off like Koresh or Manson?
Too young. I mean, he's too young for both. He's like mid-20s, right?
Yeah,
it's just too young. It's too young.
Taylor Kitsch is playing Koresh, who I've always been fascinated by, but Taylor Kitsch is playing him in a Weinstein Company limited series. What else? We had John Oliver joining The Lion King as Zazu.
Whatever. That's like, I'm like, where's Scar? Like, I don't care about
Who is going to voice
Rafiki,
Scar?
There's so many people.
Are you tracking it? I'm not tracking any names on Lion King.
No, I'm trying to find out who's doing Scar. I don't care about John Oliver's Zazu. That's like where's the hyenas? He's like the 10th character. I forgot about that character.
We have to talk about. We have 10 minutes left in this story. Woody Allen. This morning I did a story. Were you on this or no?
Woody stuff's like, it's like so quick, like you hear about it and like it's not something you track. You just
I got the tip from someone else in our space, sort of, who sort of wanted me to run it down on his behalf. I've been on this for like a month. Waiting. I'll tell you.
Space.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. But I've been on this for like a month. I've been waiting for Woody to find the other girl because I'm told it's a bit of a love triangle movie. It's going to be Timothée Chalamet.
Months?
I would say a month.
Wait,
3 weeks to a month.
I thought you said Thomas. I thought you were talking about the West Wing director.
No, sorry. So Woody Allen's new movie, he has made offers to Timothée Chalamet and Elle Fanning, and I've been waiting for him to make an offer to the other girl, and eventually, today I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to put the other two. But the idea of Woody Allen doing a movie about young people, his movies have generally been for adults. I don't know. Do you think
still will be for adults?
Think he has another great movie in him?
I mean, what was his last great movie, do you think?
Well, he has Wonder Wheel coming out this December, which is, I hear it's okay. I mean,
I was excited for the Emma Stone Joaquin Phoenix thing.
That was not good.
I mean,
and the Colin Firth Emma Stone one was worse.
That sounded bad to begin with, but like, I think his last best movie was Vicky. I mean, listen,
Blue Jasmine.
Vicky, I actually go Vicky Cristina Barcelona is like, I'm reaching really back. I didn't even care for Midnight in Paris that much, but that's obviously his most accoladed film or acclaimed film in a while. We'll see. I mean, he's like, we don't give him enough credit for how he just like how he's evolved over the years when he was doing all those films set in Europe, and then like how he still pops them out. I mean, the dude's like Marty's age.
He works at a remarkable pace, and obviously we know Elle Fanning is one of the biggest stars of her generation. But I was going to ask you about Timothée Chalamet. Is he a name that you hear a lot in for things now?
Not as much.
Okay.
It depends what. Like, yeah, I haven't heard him. No.
He has Call Me by Your Name coming out in December. He's probably going to get a big supporting actor push. That's a movie where him and Armie Hammer have a gay relationship.
The Lucas film, right?
Guadagnino.
I heard great things about that, actually.
Yeah, and he has like Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell. He's got
he needs stuff to come out, so he's
got good shit in the hopper.
That was a good one though.
Let's talk about First Man. Like this is a pretty cool cast he's got now.
Oh yeah,
I did a Shea Wiggum story, so now it's Shea Wiggum, Kyle Chandler, Jason Clarke are the and is there one
Corey
more?
Stoll.
And Corey Stoll. Those four guys are
fucking exclusive. You can't even remember. Jesus.
And Corey Stoll. Thank you to my tipster on that one. So those four guys are around Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy.
Poor Claire Foy, by the way. Can I just say this real fast?
Why?
She didn't get an announcement. I put her in my spider's web. Like and then no one gave her anything. She's this co-lead. She's like this poor girl has two big movies and they buried her.
I'm excited for this though. I mean, Damien has pulling together a great cast. This is a good story.
So you're excited now because you weren't excited. I've watched this show, and this didn't like perk you up like back in March. I don't think. Like,
when it was just
the Neil
Ryan
Armstrong
Gosling playing
biopic
Neil Armstrong?
didn't blow you away. Like, are you like? I'm still curious what it is. Like, La La Land interested me because of what that was, and obviously the cast. And this cast is incredible, but I'm just like, what is the story?
I just want a traditional space epic where there's no sort of gimmick like Gravity. Like Hidden Figures was like a space epic, but on the ground.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
You know, I want to see like Apollo 13 or The Right Stuff. Like to me, it has to be on that level.
If it's like that, that'd be pretty.
It has to be on that level. Here's one you probably can't talk much about, and details are still a little fuzzy. But yesterday, Hollywood Reporter and I did an even break on Lee Janiak directing the Fear Street movie. You're shrugging this one off, which is fine because you didn't read the books. I grew up reading all the Fear Street books, so I'm pumped that there's going to be a Fear Street movie. And the twist, according to Boris, is that there's going to be 3 Fear Street movies. That Fox is developing this as a trilogy, that Lee Janiak is overseeing the writing of 3 different scripts, and they could all be shot and released back to back to back. So, you know, every month we could be getting a new Fear Street movie for a good chunk of time. I don't know if that's how it will ultimately play out. This is a project that's been in development for a long time. I didn't love Lee Janiak's first film, Honeymoon, and I think it's a little bit telling that nothing happened with the craft. Like, that was actually a line that caught me off guard in Boris's story, because I thought she was sort of still developing that. I don't know. The Craft seemed like a great title to reboot at Sony. No? Do you,
sure. No, I mean, it was.
She just couldn't get anything done there. So.
Yeah, she has no... Like, you didn't care for Honeymoon, so what makes you think that, like, maybe Sony didn't see it either? I'm
not, like, excited about the hiring. I'm just excited about the idea that there's going to be a Fear Street movie.
Blake Lively's doing...
oh, yeah, that was a big one.
It did well on our site.
The Rhythm section? A weird title.
Well, I guess it's part of the Stephanie Patrick books are like the American Assassin books, but from females.
That makes sense.
That's what plays. I mean, it did really well for us. The Eon, who produces Bond's involved. I Am Global. I mean,
yeah, they don't produce a lot of
Moreno,
stuff. Reed Moreno, yeah,
who's awesome. Does an amazing job on *Handmaid's Tale*.
She just picked up 2 Emmy nominations yesterday.
And watch that show, by the way. It's very good. It's my dark horse for the best drama this year since Thrones is in there.
Ooh.
But she is. I mean, the look of these shows are incredible, which gives me interest that this film could be something a big thing for Blake too, like a franchisey type thing if it's done right. So we'll see.
I think she has the right physicality to be like, you know, an action star. I can see her pulling off what ScarJo and Angelina Jolie have done. Jennifer Lawrence.
Sure, she's got. I mean, Shallows. She. I mean, that kind of heroin in a way.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I can totally see it.
Ballad of Scruggs, your big scoop last week. That was post show, wasn't it?
Oh, but yeah, I guess. James, you know, looks like he's going to get Tim Blake Nelson, James Franco, Zoe Kazan.
The Coen brothers are they?
Right. Yes, they are.
I guess Lily James following up Baby Driver with Mamma Mia. She's playing that
was a good one.
Younger version of Meryl Streep. Good job, Boris. My tipster lamest hint ever. She's doing a movie with 2 Oscar winners. What the fuck? Colin Firth and come on, like get the fuck out of here. And then I guess Legendary, interesting pickup. They're doing Men Are From Mars, Women Are Venus. I got that scoop, and it's a companion piece. They're going to develop one for the States, but also one for China because I guess
that was an interesting component of your
in
story.
China. That author actually has been going ever since the late '90s to China to teach classes on this book. And obviously China's a huge market, so we'll see what Mary and the crew does with that.
Is it possible to get a few more minutes in the booth? Yeah. Okay. I also did a story after Friday's show about Randall Park joining the Ant-Man sequel as who I'm told is S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Jimmy Woo. So that was kind of cool. I wouldn't be surprised if you maybe even saw him down at D23 this weekend or Comic-Con or who knows, whatever. Apes open this weekend, box office. I think it did like 5 last night. Simon is normally here with the box office report, so I don't have all the numbers in front of me. But Apes
I saw it 5, yeah.
Did you see the movie yet?
I was going to go last night. I'm going to go tomorrow.
It's terrific.
9:30 in the morning
It's
at the
really
Grove.
terrific. I think these movies are just so well done. Batman is in good hands with Matt Reeves.
I'm pumped. So that's good to see.
Yeah, be sure to check out the new Apes movie. By the way, did you see that Matt Reeves is throwing out Ben Affleck's script on the Batman? That he's starting from scratch?
Yeah, why not? That's fine with me.
Yeah, me too.
That's what usually happens too. Like I'm totally fine with that.
I mean, we want Matt Reeves. They hired him because they want his take on things.
And then Ben picked him
so
too.
We'll see if Deathstroke is still a part of it.
That was the thing. Is like I'm very curious on what this villain is.
What have you seen lately? You saw the Defiant Ones, right?
Oh, it's amazing.
I watched the first. I watched the first couple episodes, and I was sort of half watching them because I was working. But the first 10 minutes were amazing. Everyone, go watch the first 10 minutes of the Defiant Ones.
It uses the theme that the score is incredible. Atticus Ross did the score, and they used the theme from JFK. It's so good. And then that first 10 minutes when they, oh man. And then just the history. It is
Dr.
this
Gray
year's
and Jimmy
OJ
Iovine.
in my mind.
Interesting.
I watched 8 movies or 12 movies that from there and back on the flight to Bali. I forgot my sleeping
best
minutes.
one?
The Founder. I
really like The Founder.
Really liked it. I watched The Great Wall. That put me to sleep, which was great because I needed some sleep. Miss Sloane I really liked.
Me too.
Gifted with Chris Evans.
I didn't see that yet.
Really good. The little girl's fantastic. Okay. It's like a courtroom drama. It's under the radar Kramer versus Kramer in a way. Jenny Slate's really good in that. Octavia Spencer. Yeah, that was probably those two, Founder and Gifted, were probably my 2 favorite ones.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing Dunkirk on Monday, right?
And then Shot Caller on Tuesday. I might be just about as excited for that as I was for Dunkirk.
I'm looking forward to Shot Caller.
And then Wednesday, this is what I saw. And this was the one thing I might have been looking forward to more than anything this summer. The Game of Thrones Season 7 premiere.
Oh, Game of Thrones premiere. How was it?
Can't say. I mean, the premiere was awesome. They did
can't say anything.
A concert. I can't say anything about the show, but the smile on my face tells everything. But what they did prior to the show is they did it at the Disney Concert Hall, which I had never been to a premiere there before.
Yeah, that's a really cool venue.
They had the screen up top, and then the orchestra did like a scoring session.
Live score.
Where they did like a live score of the theme, and then a live score of the first scene from the finale of last year, which everybody remembers is when they blow up the high priest and all that stuff, and there's just an awesome score. And then they had like a montage. Very cool. But yeah, tune into that on Sunday. And then Emmys real quick. We'll get into that.
Any big? Yeah, we have like 2 minutes left. So
there's so many nominations now. It's 7 nominations for Best Actor. Like, how does someone get snubbed these days?
Yeah.
Like, it's
a lot of slots.
mean, poor Winstead. In my mind, Regina, like American Crime, getting anything that stole Mary Elizabeth's slot. Carrie Coon, it's great to see her get it for Fargo. They thought Oprah would get it over her. She beat out Oprah. But yeah, Handmaid's Tale, I just finished watching. I think it's got a lot of heat. It's fitting with the Trumpian authoritarian time we're in, the timeliness. Also, I'm really happy to see Atlanta get in there and fill that first comedy slot. I know you're pissed about Winstead, but everybody else from Fargo got
I was pissed about Winstead, and I wish my girl Caitlin Olsen was recognized. She did really good work on The Mick.
Yeah.
She's just an underrated comedy
problem with comedy with Emmy sometimes is people get lazy and they just vote for like Liv Schreiber. No offense, I thought Paul Giamatti was better than him in Billions this year. Than Ray Donovan.
Guys, we had so much more to talk about, but unfortunately we are out of time. So Justin, tell the good folks where they can find you.
I am at Variety.com, and you can see me on Twitter at KrollJVar. Maybe look on today. I might have 1 or 2 things pop.
Oh, Kroll teasing some big news over at Variety.com. And I'm Jeff Sneider, editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. Make sure you sign up for our email news alerts, all that good stuff. Thank you, as always, for watching the Popcorn Talk Network. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And have a wonderful, ape-tastic weekend, gang. Simon will be back in 2 weeks.
Later.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.